Welcome to another Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm going to talk about a novel that I just recently did a buddy read with my good friend Samantha. This is a novel that she had found. I don't know how. I don't know how she came to know about the novel or the author, but she came to me and said, well, I was looking to do a buddy read with her and letting her choose something, and she chose this. She wanted to read this story. The book is called Doomsday Match, and it's written by an author named Jeff Wheeler. I've never heard of either, but I can tell you a little bit about Jeff Wheeler. He was born in September of 1971 in New Jersey. He's been publishing since 2002, mostly novels. He has published a few short stories, but mostly novels. His latest novel, come out this year in July, is called The Duke's Treason. And Doomsday Match came out in July of 2023, so a little more than a year ago. And 20 years after his earliest works. So he has been writing for a while. He's not fresh off the bus, so to speak. And Doomsday Match is the first book in what is a trilogy, at least so far, titled The Dresden Codex, and book 2 is Jaguar Prophecies. That was published in December of 2023. Book 3 is Final Strike. That was published in May of 2024. So all three of the books of the Dresden Codex are available currently. I've only read Doomsday Match. So in Doomsday Match, you have a family that the father is an author, well-known fantasy author, making lots of money off of selling fantasy books, and he wants to take his family on a vacation. And somebody he comes into contact with suggests that he could come with him to this resort down by Cozumel, I believe, off of the Mexican coast, and vacation with him at because he's already got rooms paid for, and the author can just bring his family down there. So they get down to this resort, and things don't seem right. The resort, and really the whole island that the resort is on, is completely owned by this very rich guy. He's a Mexican guy, Mexican Indian descent, and he's very into Mayan culture. And to make a long synopsis short, the author finds out that they were invited down to this island to be railroaded into taking part in a game where you play to your death. Or, well, not quite. The one that gets 8 points first wins. And it's kind of like a soccer basketball type match. And there's two ways you can score points. Either one way is by getting the other team to let the ball come to rest. The other way is by getting the ball to go through this hoop that's way high up on a there's hoops on either side of the court, way high up on the wall though, and the hoop is only slightly larger than the hard rubber ball they're using. So the first team to score 8 points is the winner. The losing team gets sacrificed. Human sacrifice. Okay. So the first thing this author does is try to get out of that. Try to get out of there. They weren't anticipating that. They certainly didn't want to be in any kind of death match. Um, the guy that owns this island is hell bent on taking over the world and giving payback to all the white men for what they did to the Mayans, what the Spaniards did to the Mayans way, way back in the, um, what, 1500s, 1600s, something like that, was when the Spaniards went on their conquest of Central and South America. So there's, my knowledge of that period of history is sketchy at best. So I cannot say that the history is super accurate, but it seems like the author did his homework and knows a lot about the Mayans and brought a lot of that into the story, which is interesting. That's one thing about the story that I really liked is that whole culture, since it is an interesting culture, but I know so little about it, and so it was interesting to have this story that involved that culture, and I think that's part of why Samantha was interested in this is because it's got kind of a related theme to the book Temple by Matthew Riley that we just recently read. So, Doomsday Match was a good book. Samantha and I both kind of agreed. It's a good book. It's not a great book. It's not even an above average book. It's kind of solidly average. It's enjoyable. It is well written. The characters are well done, but none of it is outstanding in any way. There's nothing that really sits up and makes it take notice and go, wow, this is cool. It's fun, but not crazy like Temple was. And it doesn't have lots of philosophy or science or anything in it. Nor do you have a lot of world building like a fantasy story would have. You don't have any of that. And the characters are not high literature. They're just decent characters in a fun adventure story. The writing felt basic, workmanlike. Um, definitely, definitely not amateur writing. But for somebody who's been writing for 20 years, I guess I would expect a little more style, a little more panache to it. But it wasn't. It was just straightforward, down and dirty writing. Nothing wrong with it, but nothing about it that stood out or sparkled or anything. So we both gave this 3 stars on Goodreads. Samantha wants to try some more Jeff Wheeler. She liked it enough that she wants to continue on, at least read um, the Dresden Codex series and see where the story goes from here. Book one, it definitely leads into a book two at the end, but it is still a a complete story. It's a contained story. You don't have to go on after book one. Book one does wrap up very nicely, but you can see where there is room to lead into a book two if you want to continue on. If you don't want to continue on, you do get the whole story of book one. You just don't get the whole larger story of the Dresden Codex. So once again, kudos to Jeff Wheeler. That's very well done. Some authors leave people hanging where they just hate it that now they have to keep reading the whole damn series. Um, it is nice to have a book that if you want to, you can stop after the first book. But if you like it enough, you can keep going. There's 2 more books to do. Like I say, Samantha wants to continue on. I get so many other books I want to read that I know are going to be better books that I just don't want to spend my time on the whole Dresden Codex. Um, I kind of regret spending time reading Doomsday Match, although it was enjoyable. But it's like I say, I got stacks and stacks and stacks of better books than this that are still waiting for me to get around to reading them. So I wish I could have that time back to read what I, um, the other books that I have around me here. But I don't regret reading it. I always love reading books with Samantha, no matter what. She always comes up with something unexpected. And this was unexpected. And it is kind of interesting to try some other things, to try some stuff that's outside your comfort zone. Because even though this is fantasy, it's more of a thriller and definitely outside of what I normally would read. If this isn't a book I would pick up if I were in Barnes and Noble. So it is outside of what I normally go for. It just wasn't good enough to make me really happy that I set aside other books for this. So, not to say that you shouldn't try Jeff Wheeler. Not everything has to be big philosophical. It doesn't all have to be H.G. Wells, but that's what I prefer. A book can just be average and good fun, which this is. It's definitely that. It's not poorly written, but it's not, it's not really highly written either. It's just average and enjoyable. So if you're the type of person that likes that kind of just good adventure story, not necessarily something that has won awards, but just something that'll be an entertaining diversion for a while, then this is the book for you. So have you read Doomsday Match or anything else by Jeff Wheeler? Leave your comments in the comments section for everyone to enjoy. And hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Come on back. Probably not going to see me talking about Jeff Wheeler again, but I do have his bibliography on our website if you want to look up Jeff Wheeler under the authors page. You'll see the listing of all the works that I could find by him. And so you can pick some other books from that and try them out if you're interested in trying this guy out. But otherwise, come on back for all the other videos that we do here on Telltale Books. We'll throw in some surprises like this from time to time.